What if we told you that behind the glitz and glam of the music industry lies a secret so explosive it could tear apart the very foundation of a pop empire? What if Rihanna, yes, the queen herself, just exposed a hidden feud that dates back nearly 2 decades? A feud involving betrayal, heartbreak, and revenge, all sparked by a scandalous entanglement between Jay-Z and rising star Teairra. Hold on to your seats because this isn't just another industry rumor. According to Rihanna, who recently dropped shocking details during a closed-door conversation that somehow leaked, Beyoncé did not take the news of Jay-Z's alleged secret fling with Teairra lightly. In fact, what Beyoncé did next left everyone, even her closest inner circle, in stunned silence. This isn't just about an affair, it's about what happens after. The cover-ups, the career sabotage, the sisterhood shattered by betrayal. And the craziest part? This may have been buried until Rihanna herself decided enough is enough. Fans are shocked. Insiders are whispering, and the internet is already buzzing with wild theories. So what really happened behind those velvet ropes of fame? Stay tuned because you're not ready for the tea, Rihanna. Just spill. The story doesn't start where most people think. It doesn't start with Rihanna spilling tea on a podcast or Beyoncé standing silently by Jay-Z's side. No, this storm started years ago, when Teairra was being groomed to be the next big thing under Rockefeller Records. Young, stunning, and overflowing with talent, Teairra was supposed to be the crown jewel. But what the public didn't know was that behind closed doors, there was already trouble brewing. According to insiders, Jay-Z took a special interest in Teairra from the very beginning. More than a mentor, he was attentive in ways that raised eyebrows. Late-night studio sessions, private dinners disguised as label meetings, and a pattern of favoritism that other artists noticed but dared not question. And then came the whispers. The kind of whispers that don't die. The kind that echo through green rooms and backstages. That Teairra wasn't just Jay's protege. She was something more. Rihanna, at that time, was still rising herself. She had just stepped into the Rockefeller world, young and hungry. She saw everything. And as she later revealed in private conversations, some of which have now been leaked, she always knew something wasn't right. She looked at him differently, Rihanna reportedly said. And he looked at her like he had something to lose. But the real twist didn't hit until Beyoncé found out. Sources close to the Carter household claimed that Beyoncé was blindsided. She had heard rumors before. Jay had always been surrounded by temptation, but this time it felt different. Teairra wasn't just a fling. She was in the circle, someone Beyoncé had shared stages with, smiled with, and even invited to private events. Betrayal from within hits differently. The confrontation, as described by someone close to the scene, was nuclear. Beyoncé confronted Jay behind locked doors in their Tribeca penthouse. Voices were raised, furniture was moved. Emotions ran high. So it's true? You're out here disrespecting our name with her. Beyoncé reportedly screamed, her voice trembling not just with anger, but with pain. Jay tried to deny it. Of course, he said the industry breeds rumors, that people love tearing down strong couples, that it was all talk. But Beyoncé wasn't convinced. She had already seen the signs. The late arrivals, the scent of another woman's perfume, the deleted messages, and worst of all, Teairra's sudden shift in attitude. She had gone from humble newcomer to overconfident diva, and it didn't feel like coincidence. But here's where it gets darker. Beyoncé didn't explode publicly. She didn't take to social media or release cryptic lyrics yet. Instead, she went silent, calculating, strategic, and according to Rihanna, that silence was more dangerous than any diss track. When B goes quiet, Rihanna once said, she's planning something. And what came next shocked even the insiders. Not long after the rumored affair, Teairra's career began to crumble fast. Her album release was delayed. Her promo budget mysteriously shrank. Appearances were canceled without warning. And then, as suddenly as she rose, she vanished from the Rockefeller spotlight. Her contract wasn't renewed. No farewell statement. No press coverage. Just ... gone ... fans were confused. How did the princess of the ROC go from chart topper to industry ghost? Well, now we know. According to Rihanna, Beyoncé had quietly pulled the strings. She didn't need to scream. She didn't need to post. All she had to do was make a few calls. The industry respects power, and Beyoncé had plenty of it. Enough to turn off the lights on someone's career without ever stepping into the public eye. Rihanna said it best: you don't cross B, not if you want to survive in this game. But here's where the story twists again. You'd think that would be the end of it, that Teairra would disappear, and Beyoncé and Jay would move on. But that's not what happened. Because the fallout didn't just affect Teairra. It started shaking the entire foundation of the ROC. Rihanna herself felt the chill. She was rising fast hits, fame, recognition, but she also felt the tension. She wasn't sure where she stood. On one side was the woman who had once taken her under her wing, and on the other was the man who had signed her, mentored her, and given her the keys to success. I was in the middle of something I didn't want to be part of, Rihanna later admitted to a close friend. But I couldn't ignore it anymore. The pressure became unbearable. Every room she walked into felt heavier. Conversations stopped when she entered. Allegiances were questioned. People whispered that maybe Rihanna knew more than she let. Maybe she had secrets too. And then came the breaking point. During a private rehearsal for a major awards show, Rihanna and Beyoncé were both scheduled to perform. Tensions had been simmering for months, but they finally boiled over backstage. No cameras, no press, just raw emotion. Beyoncé walked past Rihanna without a word. Rihanna, never one to stay silent, turned and said, "You don't have to pretend." "I know." Beyoncé stopped, turned around slowly. Her eyes cold and unreadable. "Know what?" She asked flatly. "What you did," Rihanna said. "What you did to her, and what you're still doing to everyone who doesn't play by your rules." The silence was deafening. Dancers froze. Assistants stopped breathing. No one moved. And then, in a voice low enough that only Rihanna could hear, Beyoncé whispered something that still haunts the halls of that rehearsal space. "If you knew what she did to me, you'd have done worse." What did that mean? Was Teairra's betrayal deeper than anyone knew? Was there more to the story, something even Rihanna hadn't uncovered? And just like that, Beyoncé walked away, leaving Rihanna and everyone else stunned. The story should have ended there. But it didn't, because years later, when the dust seemed to have settled, Rihanna chose to speak again. And this time, she didn't hold back. That interview, which was never supposed to be made public, somehow found its way to the internet. In it, Rihanna opens up about everything: the affair, the fallout, the secret war behind the scenes. And what she reveals changes everything. And what she reveals changes everything. Rihanna, sitting across from the unnamed interviewer, didn't look like the global mogul fans were used to seeing. She looked reflective, heavy with years of silence, and maybe finally ready to unburden herself. The setting was intimate. No flashing lights. Just truth. Or at least, Rihanna's version of it. "You ever see someone smile at you like they're your sister?" she began, "and then find out they were plotting your silence the whole time?" The interviewer leaned in. "Are you talking about Beyoncé?" Rihanna paused, took a deep breath, and then nodded. She knew Teairra was more than a rumor, she said. She knew Jay had crossed the line. And instead of confronting it like a woman, like a sister, she went nuclear behind the scenes. She buried that girl's career so deep, not even a comeback single could dig her out. But the bombshell wasn't just about Teairra. Rihanna claimed that the fallout from the alleged affair didn't stop with Beyoncé's silent retaliation. It spiraled into a toxic power play that almost consumed her too. "They started isolating me," Rihanna said. "Suddenly, meetings were happening without me. Plans were changing last minute. I was being treated like I was part of her mess, just because I wouldn't pick a side." And then she dropped the name no one expected. Kelly, she whispered. Kelly warned me. Kelly Rowland, known for her loyalty to Beyoncé since their Destiny's Child days, had always played the role of peacemaker. But according to Rihanna, even Kelly couldn't ignore the darkness that had taken root. She pulled me aside after a rehearsal and said, "Be careful." She doesn't forgive. And she definitely doesn't forget. What followed was a slow unraveling. Rihanna found herself being boxed out of opportunities, brand deals falling through, collaborations being pulled, award show performances mysteriously canceled. No one would say it out loud, but everyone felt it. It was like walking through a haunted house, she said. Everywhere I turned, doors were closing. And then, almost out of nowhere, Teairra reappeared, not with a hit song, not with a press tour, but with a cryptic social media post that sent shockwaves through the industry. A blurry photo of a diamond-encrusted necklace with the caption, "They tried to silence me." But ghosts always whispered out. Fans were confused, intrigued. Some thought it was a stunt. Others weren't so sure. But Rihanna? She knew exactly what it meant. That necklace, Rihanna explained, was a gift from Jay. She wore it every damn day. When she posted that ... I knew she wasn't done. Within days, Teairra went live on her account. No makeup, no production, just raw emotion. "I didn't ask for this," she said, eyes brimming with tears. "I didn't plan to be in the middle of their war. I was young. I was naive. I was in love." The comments exploded. Was she confirming the affair? Or was it all just a desperate cry for relevance? But then she said the one thing that set the internet on fire. Beyoncé knew. She always knew. And instead of talking to me, she ended me. It was the quote heard around the world. Within hours, fans took sides. Hashtags flooded social media. Hashtag Justice for Teairra began trending. Old performance clips were dug up. Unreleased tracks leaked. People began asking why Teairra, with all her early promise, had disappeared so completely. And now they had a theory and a villain. But Beyoncé didn't respond. In fact, she remained eerily silent. No statements, no tweets, not even a vague lyric. And that silence only fueled the fire. Meanwhile, Rihanna found herself caught in the crossfire once again. Fans praised her for speaking out. Others accused her of stirring the pot. But behind the scenes, something else was happening, something much darker. Her team began receiving anonymous threats. Brand deals suddenly dropped her without explanation. Whispers of lawsuits started circling. And then the most chilling detail of all, someone had broken into her studio. Nothing was stolen. No equipment, no files, just a single note left taped to her microphone. Some stories should stay buried. Rihanna didn't flinch. She didn't back down. In fact, she went louder. She booked a tell-all interview with one of the biggest streaming platforms in the world. The kind of interview that couldn't be ignored. The teaser clip alone had over 10 million views within 24 hours. "This isn't just about one affair," she said in the promo. "It's about power, about who gets to speak and who gets silenced." Behind the scenes, Beyoncé's camp was in crisis mode. Legal teams were activated. Calls were made. But still no public response. Some insiders believe she was planning a strategic comeback. Others whispered that the silence was part of her long game. But no one could deny that the world was watching and waiting. And then something completely unexpected happened. Jay-Z broke his silence. Not in a press release, not in an interview, but in a leaked voice memo allegedly sent to an unnamed friend. In it, he sounds tired, worn down, haunted. "I made mistakes," he says. "I did things I'm not proud of, but I never wanted it to go this far." And then he says her name. Teairra didn't deserve what happened to her. None of them did. It was the closest thing to a confession anyone had ever gotten. And it changed everything. The internet exploded again. Fans were stunned. Beyoncé's silence began to feel less like control and more like fear. And suddenly, Rihanna was no longer the villain or the instigator. She was the truth teller, the one who had risked everything to finally speak what others were too afraid to say. But the most surprising twist was still to come. Because just when it seemed like the story couldn't get any messy, just when the world had picked its sides and decided who was the hero and who was the villain, a mysterious voicemail was leaked to a gossip blog. The voice on the message? Beyoncé, and what she says in that voicemail changes the entire narrative. Yet, again, and what she says in that voicemail changes the entire narrative yet again. The voice was unmistakably hers. Soft, composed, but laced with something new vulnerability. It wasn't meant for public ears, that much was clear. But once it hit the gossip blogs, there was no stopping the wildfire. I didn't destroy her, Beyoncé's voice said. She destroyed herself, and no one wanted to say it. The message was just under 2 minutes. No date stamp, no explanation of who it was sent to. But it painted a very different picture from what the internet had built in its frenzy. You don't know what I went through, she continued. The things she said to me, the threats she made, and Ree thinks she knows the whole story? She doesn't know the half of it. Fans were divided all over again. What threats was she talking about? Was Beyoncé trying to reclaim her image, or was this voicemail the first real peek into her side of the story? And then, in the final seconds of the clip, came the line that shook the internet to its core. I kept quiet because I was trying to protect everyone. But maybe that was my mistake. What did she mean by protect? Protect who? Jay, Blue Ivy? The entire ROC empire? Speculation ran wild. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, Teairra Mari remained silent. Not a tweet, not a post. Just quiet, as if watching the whole circus unfold from a distance. Rihanna, however, wasn't having it. A week after the voicemail leaked, she appeared on stage during a surprise concert in London. The lights dimmed, the crowd screamed. And then, without warning, she paused her set to speak directly to the audience. There's always two sides to a story, she said. And then there's the truth, and I stand by mine. It wasn't just a clapback, it was a declaration. Rihanna wasn't backing down, even with the queen herself indirectly firing shots. But what came next wasn't just drama. It was chaos. A member of Beyoncé's inner circle, someone who had been with her since the Destiny's Child days, suddenly went rogue. A former stylist named Teairra, who had remained silent for over a decade, posted a now-deleted thread exposing alleged details of the night everything truly fell apart. I was there. T.I. wrote, I saw Teairra show up uninvited to a private gathering. I saw the way Jay looked at her. And I saw Beyoncé's face when it clicked. According to Teairra, Beyoncé had remained composed in front of everyone, but later broke down behind closed doors. She was shattered, T.I. claimed. Not angry, just betrayed. She kept asking why her. Why someone I trusted? The thread continued, detailing how Teairra had allegedly confronted Beyoncé later that night in what was supposed to be a private moment, but turned into a verbal battle no one ever expected. He told me he loved me, Teairra reportedly said. Bay ONC acute, stunned, simply replied, then why are you standing in front of me like you're proud of it? No one knows what happened after that. But by the next morning, Teairra had disappeared from all future plans. Her bookings vanished. Her album was quietly shelved. And the empire continued without her. For years, fans assumed it was bad management or personal issues. But now, with all the leaked conversations, hidden recordings, and rising voices, they were seeing a pattern too calculated to be coincidence. Still, some believed Teairra had made her own bed. Others said Beyoncé had gone too far. And some began turning on Rihanna. A trending thread accused Rihanna of clout chasing, of dragging old wounds into the spotlight for relevance, of weaponizing private pain for public sympathy. But Rihanna didn't flinch. Instead, she took to her Instagram story and posted a single sentence. Some truths are uncomfortable. Deal with it. Meanwhile, Jay-Z, who had remained quiet since the leaked voice memo, was now facing heat from all sides. Fans began dissecting his past interviews, his lyrics, his behavior. Was this just the tip of the iceberg? How many other careers had been sabotaged to protect the empire's image? Then came the biggest twist, yet an anonymous email sent to a high-profile journalist. ALLEGED that a settlement had been offered to Teairra back in 2006. The email included what appeared to be redacted legal documents, suggesting that ROCFella had offered a financial payout in exchange for her silence and departure from the label. The journalist, after verifying the metadata and sources, went public with it. The settlement was reportedly worth $1.2 million. Fans lost it. Why would the label pay her to walk away if there was nothing to hide? Why did Teairra stay quiet for so long? Was she really protecting herself, or was she protecting Jay? And most importantly, did Beyoncé know about the payout? This time, there was no voicemail. No post, just silence until someone new entered. The chaos.solange. The famously protective younger sister of Beyoncé, known for once physically confronting Jay-Z in an elevator, finally broke her silence on her own terms. In an exclusive interview with a fashion magazine. She was asked casually what she thought about loyalty in the industry. Her answer wasn't casual at all. Loyalty is expensive, she said. Some people pay for it, others bleed for it. But it's rare that anyone earns it. It wasn't direct, but the subtext was clear. And for fans, it was confirmation that even within the Carter circle, there were fractures. And then, as if the universe couldn't take the tension anymore, Teairra finally reappeared. In a video titled, "My Story," she sat alone, barefaced, looking like a woman who had finally reached her limit. "For years, I've been painted as a mistake," she began, "as someone who tried to steal what wasn't hers. But I never asked to be in that position. I didn't chase Jay. He came to me, and when I didn't play by their rules, they erased me." She paused, voice cracking. "But I'm done being erased." The video exploded across every platform. Millions of views, thousands of comments. And in the middle of it, all silence from the Carters, people begged for Beyoncé to speak, begged for Jay to respond again, begged for clarity. But none came. Meanwhile, Rihanna posted a picture of herself in a black hoodie with one word embroidered. On the chest. Truth. The caption? Just an hourglass emoji. The clock was ticking. And as the world waited for the next move, the question loomed larger than ever. Was this just the beginning? Was this just the beginning? That question haunted fans, insiders, and the music world alike. The silence from Beyoncé and Jay-Z was deafening, almost eerie. It wasn't like them to hide not when the spotlight turned so directly on their past. And yet, as Teairra's My Story video climbed past 10 million views in just 3 days, the Carters remained locked behind their fortress of privacy. But the silence wouldn't last forever. 2 weeks later, Beyoncé made her move. Not with an interview, not with a statement, but with a song. An unannounced track uploaded to her official site, titled Veil. It wasn't on any streaming platforms, no promotion. Just a single file, waiting for fans to press play. And when they did, the world stopped. The track wasn't just music, it was a confession, a confrontation, a reckoning. Over a haunting piano beat, Beyoncé's voice came in soft, almost trembling. They only see the glitter, not the grief. The lyrics painted a story of betrayal not by a man, but by a woman who had once smiled in her face. She never named names, but the message was clear. She spoke of an industry that rewarded the loudest lies and punished the quiet dignity of silence. I didn't end her. She chose the path that led to her own ending. And then came the most talked about line of the song, "He broke me, she mocked me, and still I rose." Fans and critics were stunned. Was this the first time Beyoncé had directly addressed the alleged affair? Was this the truth, or just her version of it? Social media split into factions. Some praised her restraint, Others said it was too little, too late. And in the middle of that storm, Teairra finally responded. In a short, shaky video. She appeared more vulnerable than ever before. "I heard the song," she said, "and it hurt, not because it wasn't beautiful, it was, but because it erased me all over again." Her voice cracked as she continued. "I didn't mock her. I cried when she looked me in the eyes and told me I'd ruined her world. I begged for forgiveness, but you can't beg your way back into a life they've already locked you out of." Then she said something no one expected. "I was pregnant." The internet broke. Teairra claimed that shortly after her alleged relationship with Jay-Z ended, she found out she was carrying his child. But out of fear of the industry, of the Carters, of her own uncertain future, she didn't tell anyone. She lost the baby just weeks later. "I never got to tell him. And maybe that was for the best," she said through tears. "Because what happened to me would have only happened faster." The revelation sent shockwaves through every corner of the media. If true, it changed everything. It wasn't just a scandal, it was a tragedy. A life lost before it even began, buried beneath fame, fear, and silence. Rihanna, upon seeing the video, posted a single word on her story. "Heartbroken. But even that wasn't the final twist. Because behind the scenes, legal forces were beginning to stir. Documents surfaced showing that Teairra had been quietly attempting to obtain full rights to her early unreleased music songs recorded under ROC, a fella that had never seen the light of day. Songs that, according to her, contained coded messages and diary-like lyrics from the exact time the alleged affair happened. But here's the catch. ROC Nation refused to release them. So she did it herself, leaking a 3-track demo tape under an anonymous SoundCloud account. Teairra exposed raw, unpolished vocals that sent chills down listeners' spines. In one track, titled "In Your Shadow," she sang, "You held my dreams inside your hand, then crushed them with your golden brand." She stood beside, but didn't see the way your silence poisoned me. Critics described it as haunting, intimate, undeniably real. And suddenly, the public narrative began to shift again. No longer a petty scandal, no longer a one-sided betrayal. This was becoming a story about survival, about power, about the cost of silence in a world that only listens when you scream. And somewhere, in the middle of it all, Jay-Z remained silent. He hadn't responded to Teairra's pregnancy claim, hadn't acknowledged the leaked songs. And while his team made no official comments, a mysterious photo began circulating, a blurry paparazzi snap of Jay-Z sitting alone at a rooftop bar, face in his hands, looking older than fans had ever seen him. Captioned simply, "He's tired of running." Sources close to the situation claimed the Carters were in full damage control mode. Lawyers were involved. Contracts re-examined. Threats of defamation suits whispered in hallways and email threads. But the truth was already out. It was too late to bury it now. And then out of nowhere, the unexpected happened. Beyoncé invited Teairra Mari to a private meeting. No cameras, no press, no leaks. Just two women, once connected by love, music, and betrayal, now sitting face to face for the first time in over a decade. What happened in that room remains unknown. But later that night, Teairra posted a photo. No caption. Just a blurry image of a wine glass, a candle, and a folded napkin embroidered with a single letter. Fans speculated endlessly. Was it peace? Was it closure? Was it blackmail? No one knew for sure. But one thing was certain: something had changed. Rihanna, watching it all unfold from a distance, said nothing more. No interviews, no posts. She returned to her empire, her fashion, her beauty line, her music. But those close to her said she had a new fire in her eyes. She exposed the truth not just for Teairra, one friend said, but for herself, because she'd seen too much and carried it for too long. The industry had been cracked open, and as fans debated what was real and what wasn't, one thing stood out. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how carefully you hide your secrets, eventually the truth sings louder than silence. And now, The world was listening. So now, after years of whispers, deleted tracks, and hidden heartache, the truth is finally echoing through the very halls where it was once buried. What started as a secret between a rising star, a mogul, and a queen has now become a public reckoning, a raw reminder that fame doesn't protect anyone from betrayal, heartbreak, or consequence. Rihanna didn't just spill tea, she cracked the entire pot. Teairra didn't just speak, she found her voice after being silenced for nearly 2 decades. And Beyoncé, the untouchable icon, may have finally shown a side of herself fans never expected to see. As for Jay-Z, the silence speaks louder than anything he could ever say, but one question still lingers in the air like smoke after a fire. Was this true closure or just the calm before another storm? Because in the world of fame, power, and legacy, nothing ever stays buried for long. And now we want to hear from you. Do you believe Beyoncé truly tried to destroy Teairra's career? Was Jay-Z the mastermind or just another man lost in his own empire? And did Rihanna do the right thing by breaking the silence, or did she just pour gasoline on an old flame? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading everything. Don't forget to hit that like button if you're just as shocked as we are. And make sure you subscribe for more untold celebrity truths, explosive drama, and stories the industry never wanted you to hear, because this is just the beginning. Stay tuned, stay curious, and always stay ready for the next secret to spill.